What's going on, guys? Coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports, we're going to talk about some comments that Will Ragatz made. A Vikings beat reporter kind of critiqued the Vikings offseason and kind of stated that the Vikings should have either committed to a rebuild or committed to contending a little bit more. Then we're going to dive into what Jeremy Fowler had to say about a possible Justin Jefferson extension that he could be getting paid a lot of money. Then we're going to finish off today's show with, of course, cutting Dalvin Cook. That June 1st deadline is this Thursday. So we got to talk about it if Dalvin Cook will be on the Minnesota Vikings. But anyways, let's get into the show. What's going on, guys? I'll be your host for today's show, Patrick Siepman. And before we dive into the rest of today's show, help us out. Share today's video on Twitter. And if you guys do this, I'll actually give you a shout out on a future show here at Vikings Now. And this is how you do it. If you just go right down there, click that little share icon, select the Twitter icon, and then click post to Twitter. Then if you just tag me right there at Pat Siepman, it will kind of give me a notification that you shared today's video. Just helps us out, spread this video out to more and more Vikings fans, and then I'll give you a shout out on a future video. Let's talk about it. Should the Vikings rebuild? This was kind of thrown out there by Will Ragatz, and he kind of just said, the Vikings didn't really commit to fully rebuilding this offseason or actually pushing all your chips to the middle of the table and going all in and trying to be a true Super Bowl contender. This is specifically what Will had to say. He said the Vikings didn't make a bigger commitment to contending or rebuilding. Given a difficult cap situation, it's tough to feel as if they had a great handle on what sort of team they're going to be in 2023 and 2024. Given that they just won 13 games while being outscored by their opposition. They moved on from Kendricks and Thielen, but held on to Harrison Smith. They were willing to keep Za'Darius Smith and Dalvin Cook on the roster in the May when the cap space and cash could have been budgeted elsewhere in March. And that's a good point because the Vikings were in a tough spot heading into this offseason. I do think this is an interesting take. And we'll kind of spend some couple seconds here breaking this down because the Vikings were in a tough situation. They were literally dead last in cap space heading into the year, and they were second to last in draft capital. I mean, having 5 draft picks and being dead last in cap space, and plus with a quarterback with that big contract that Kirk Cousins had, they were just in a tough spot. And I think overall so far during the offseason, I've honestly enjoyed what Kwesi has done. I felt like Kwesi has been kind of making up for what Rick Spielman had to do, but overall the Vikings were still able to make some key additions here. I mean, they brought in Josh Oliver, the best blocking tight end in the league. They're taking a chance on a really talented player in Marcus Davenport, who has been dealing with injuries and maybe hasn't been as productive as you would like a former first-round pick to be, but they took a chance on it. And I'm excited to see Marcus Davenport play. And then also Byron Murphy. I thought that was probably the best cornerback you could have gotten in free agency, and the Vikings landed him when the Vikings needed to make a move at that position. And then in the draft, you got Jefferson, another piece in Jordan Addison at 23 overall. Then you also address corner again in Mekhi Blackman, a guy who Brian Flores really likes. But that's why overall I kind of like what Kwesi has done because, again, they were last in cap space and second to last in draft capital coming into this offseason. They were able to make key moves, and honestly, hiring Brian Flores and firing Ed Donatel, that was probably the biggest move Kwesi made. But I'll ask you guys, I'll make this the pin comment on today's show. Grade the Vikings offseason. Old school, back to school, bring out the red pen style. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F in the comment section. YouTube's going to toss you an ad break right your way right now. Sit back, let it play, and go answer today's pin comment. So an extension, could it be coming for the best wide receiver in the NFL? Jeremy Fowler had a report on NFL Network, I believe, earlier today, and he said the Vikings intend to make Justin Jefferson the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, and honestly, I feel like this is just bound to happen. It's going to happen eventually. I mean, the Vikings have to pay Justin Jefferson. He's the best weapon in the league. It's either him or Kelsey. That's either up for their debate. But right now, the two highest paid non-QBs in the league, Aaron Donald at $31.5 million on average annual salary, and then Tyreek Hill at $30 million a year. The Tyreek one, a little skewed. It ends up being $30 million a year, but it's not actually $30 million. The later half of his contract contract is around the 20s. But these two right now hold the crown for the highest paid non-quarterbacks. But I think Jefferson's got a good chance because, again, like I was saying, he is one of the best players in the NFL, and he's probably the best non-quarterback in the NFL. I mean, that's just my opinion. He's an elite weapon. He's an elite playmaker at the wide receiver spot. 1,800 yards, 14 yards a catch, 8 touchdowns. He finished 5th in MVP voting this past season, and he was the reason why the Vikings won 13 games. But we can check out the whole list right now of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. Like we were saying, Tyreek Hill sitting there at top dog at $30 million a year, Devontae Adams at 28, D-Hop 27. Then you kind of got the middle-level guys like the Diggs, the Debos, the Terry McLaurins. They're all sitting around that $23, $24 million a year. I will tell you what, when this deal gets done, Jefferson will be for sure atop of this list. And then his former college teammate, Jamar Chase, next season will probably top him. But my overall take with this whole thing, just get it done. I don't want to have to worry about this. Honestly, I don't want to have to make another video about this. I don't know why I'm making another video about this. The Vikings, you should do this yesterday. Like, this is just a move. It has to get done. Obviously, they're probably working out with Jefferson's agent right now. He's still got the question mark about Dalvin Cook kind of hanging over your head. What are you going to do with him? But then, guys, if you look at even next year, like Christian Darrisaw, he's going to get paid as one of the highest left tackles in the league. That's going to be a lot of money. You still have Kirk Cousins. We'll figure out what we're going to do here, but just get it done. I mean, he's the best player, best non-quarterback in the league, in my opinion. Get him paid. Pay him whatever he wants. But I'll ask you guys, how much would you give Justin Jefferson per year? It's got to be more than $30 million. I mean, he's not going to take a cent less than that because he wants to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league, and he deserves to be the highest paid receiver in the league. I mean, he had 4,800 yards in his first 3 seasons, and he's gotten better every single year, which is the crazy part. Like, he is going to be hitting his prime the next 4 to 5 years. Honestly, I think if the Vikings could extend him for maybe 6-7 years, that would be my ideal situation. You give him a 6-year extension, backload a lot of that money. I mean, shit, if you told me Jefferson's going to sign a 6-year, $220 million deal, I would sign that in an instant. But let me know, how much would you give Jefferson per year? But the receiver that's going to be playing next to Justin Jefferson this year is a receiver out of USC who he took 23rd overall in the 2023 NFL Draft. Jordan Addison, we got his jerseys right now. If you go to chatsports.com/Vikings jersey, don't worry, they're going to come in number 3. Number 1 was just a placeholder, but he is going to be looking icy in those number 3 jerseys. So check it out. I'll put the link in the comments and the description, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Let's talk about it again. The Dalvin Cook news, rumors, buzz, whatever you want to describe it as. But will Dalvin Cook be cut June 1st? It is Thursday. We are finally just inching our way up to that June 1st deadline, and I cannot wait to get some news that day. But I promise you, the way this has been kind of going, it's going to be silent June 1st. Like, the way this Dalvin Cook kind of saga has gone this offseason, I don't expect anything to happen. But the cap savings, the Vikings would save $9 million if they cut him post June 1st, on top of the $10 million they save for Za'Darius Smith. Again, most of this money will probably be going to that Justin Jefferson extension, but it's going to be interesting to see what the Vikings have to do. I mean, we all know it. The production for Dalvin, it's gone down the last 4 years. Again, the 2020 season, fantastic. Make the argument that he's the best running back in the league, but in 2022, not too good. I mean, he got a lot of carries, not as many yards as you would have liked. But again, this is a loaded Vikings running back room. I mean, if Dalvin Cook were to be cut, like, I'm okay with rolling out the chips of Alexander Mattison, Kene Nwangwu, Ty Chandler, CJ Ham, and Dwayne McBride. Like, I'm fine kind of rolling the die with those guys. Like, those guys, I think, in a more of a running back by committee type of system, let those guys cook. Like, I think the Vikings can manage moving off Dalvin Cook. But this was a report that came out from Darren Wolfson, I think it was about a week ago, that Dalvin Cook is open to a pay cut in the upcoming future. That was just what Darren Wolfson said. I don't really know how too likely that is that Dalvin would, be open to taking a pay cut, but I'm not really too sure. Like, I don't know. I mean, will Dalvin want to take it? I just don't know. I mean, we'll see. I just don't really think – the way that Dalvin and his agent have been kind of talking this offseason, I just don't really think that's too likely. But we'll have to see. June 1st, a lot of decisions are going to be made about this Minnesota Vikings team and kind of the direction that they want to go moving forward. But it's just going to be tough to see what happens. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. But I'll ask you guys, will Dalvin Cook be cut? Give me a C for cut or give me a K for keep if the Vikings will keep Dalvin Cook. It's going to be interesting to see what's going on here in the future with the Vikes, but we'll keep you guys in the loop, so make sure you guys are subscribed. If you guys made it to the end of the video, just give me a skull down in the comments section, see where all the real ones at. As always, we'll see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.